meron na po siyang hinire na assassin.
Patayin mo si BBM, si Lisa Araneta, at si Martin Romualdez. No joke, no joke. There is a clear violation and culpable violation of the Constitution.
And this allegation is trial ready.
I object, Madam Chair.
I respectfully submit that Article 1 of the fourth complaint fails the test.
He said there's no crime because it is conditional. So these two are out, definitely out.
We will now proceed to the deliberation per ground of the fourth impeachment complaint. Please allow the chair to read Article 1. Culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, and other high crimes, citing the following specific offenses: assassination plot, sedition, and subversion of constitutional order. If there are no other
Madam Chair.
members, the Honorable Suntay.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Kagaya ho ng aking binanggit kahapon, dito naman sa pang-apat na impeachment complaint, ang pangunahing alegasyon ng complaint ay nagsasaad, respondent publicly declared during a live broadcast press conference that she has arranged for a person to kill President Marcos Jr., the First Lady, and the former Speaker, Speaker Martin Romualdez, if she is killed. Ito ang ginawang basihan ng Article 1 para sabihin may culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, at other high crimes. Pero kapag sinuri ito sa ilalim ng Rule 3, Section 5 ng Rules of Procedures ng impeachment proceeding, may malinaw na problema sa sufficiency in substance. Ang requirement ng rule ay may recital of facts constituting the offense charge. Hindi sapat ang statement na kontrobersyal or politically shocking. Sa complaint na ito, ang allegation ay speech lamang. Walang alegasyon na may actual hitman na kinuha. Walang maipakitang may agreement nga o conspiracy na ipatupad dito. Wala rin naipakitang may payment o arrangement na ginawa in order to facilitate such statements. Wala rin maipakitang weapon procurement o alleged overt act. Sa ilalim ng constitutional law, malinaw ang doctrine na kahit incendiary, inflaming, or shocking ang speech, ito ay protected under the freedom of speech. Naipailalim to sa Brandenburg versus Ayo na sinabi ng korte that the speech can only be punished if it is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and likely to incite or produce such action. Ang parehong principle ay kinilala sa Philippine jurisprudence tulad ng Salonga versus Cruz Paño kung saan sinabi ng Supreme Court na kahit radical o disturbing a statement ay hindi punishable kung walang imminent and lawful action. Sa madaling salita, kahit pa matapang, galit, exaggerated ang political rhetoric, hindi automatic na ito ay krimen. Ang complaint ay umaasa sa interpretasyon ng statement, hindi sa factual acts constituting treason, sedition, or conspiracy. There is a Latin maxim, conclusion non probat factum. Ang conclusion ay hindi proof ng fact. Thank you.
The Honorable SDML Noy Defensor.
That's wrong, Madam Chair. We are discussing on the sufficiency and substance and the irrelevant, illogical statements made in defense has no point because this is a direct threat to the life of the sovereign. And the allegation that the Vice President has contracted an assassin who is prepared to kill the President, whether or not there is a condition, as alleged in both complaints, I have seen the evidence and I have seen all the supporting documents, and this allegation is trial ready. Madam Chair, I move that we proceed to the next allegation.
Madam Chair.
Madam,
The Honorable, is that a motion, Honorable Defensor?
Yes, it's a motion to proceed to the next allegation.
I object, Madam Chair.
Second.
There is
Let us
a
give a chance.
motion.
Let us give a chance to everyone to speak on each ground. And my good friend, and whom I respect so much, should be minded to withdraw that because precisely there are others who wish to speak. And we cannot stifle any member of the Justice Committee. And our chairman has always allowed everybody to speak until everybody has spoken in this committee. So we appeal to my good friend to withdraw that so that we can
Only
proceed.
because the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez has requested me to withdraw. I would gracefully withdraw my motion, Madam Chairman.
That is a statesman. You see, Mr. Chairman, our deputy majority is a statesman. So
Just
thank
for the
you.
record, the motion to proceed to the next ground has been formally withdrawn.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All the manifestations of the Justice members are duly noted. At this juncture, we recognize the Honorable Nazal and then Honorable Chua
Thank you.
How about me?
and then Honorable Rodriguez.
Third, that is fine.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. Consistent with the constitutional threshold articulated under Article 11 and the ultimate facts rule applied during the PBBM proceedings last February 4, 2026, I respectfully submit that Article 1 of the fourth complaint fails the test of sufficiency in substance. The allegations rely principally on public statements characterized as an admission of contracting an assassin. However, even assuming hypothetical admission of the pleaded facts, the complaint does not set forth the essential elements of an indictable offense. There is no identification of an alleged assassin, no pleaded meeting of minds, no overt act towards execution, no defined consideration, and no operational step taken beyond speech. Conspiracy requires implementation elements. Sedition requires overt acts. Culpable violation requires a specific, willful breach of a constitutional duty. None are pleaded with particularity. General invocations of a constitutional order and oath-taking cannot substitute for a clearly identified constitutional provision willfully violated. Under the standard consistently applied in the PBBM proceedings, rhetoric, however alarming, does not become an impeachable offense absent ultimate facts establishing execution. Accordingly, Article 1 rests on inference and conclusion rather than pleaded ultimate facts and is insufficient in substance. I so manifest. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next is the Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, mukhang nalilito po yung mga kasama natin. Wala po tayo dito para determine yung criminal aspect ng complaint. Nandito po tayo para tignan natin kung pag binasa po natin itong facts, ito po ba papasok as impeachable offense? Now, let me clarify this. Ito pong Article 1, makikita po natin sa paragraph 83, pababa. At dito po, sa paragraph 85, dito po, clearly and expressly, binanggit po dito yung kataga na binanggit po ng ating Vice Presidente. At ano po to? Already as a person to take revenge and that if I get killed, patayin mo si BBM, si Lisa Araneta, at si Martin Romualdez. No joke, no joke. Now, paano po ito papasok bilang impeachable offense? Sabi po dito, sa same impeachment complaint, sabi po dito, makikita natin to sa paragraph 91 to 93. Ano po to? Meron daw pong culpable violation ng Constitution. Now, ano po yung specific provision sa ating Constitution ang binayolate. So makikita naman po natin to sa Article 7, Section 5. Dahil dito po, sa Article 7, Section 5, nakasaad po dito ng ating saligang batas, and I quote, Madam Chair, before they enter on the execution of their office, the President, the Vice President, or the Acting President shall take the following oath or affirmation. Ang second paragraph, ito po yung kanilang oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully and conscientiously fulfill my duties as President or Vice President or Acting President of the Philippines, preserve and defend its Constitution, execute its law, do justice to every man, and consecrate myself to the service of the nation. Defend its Constitution and execute its laws. Definitely, yung pagbabanta po is not a form of executing its laws. And therefore, there is a clear violation and culpable violation of the Constitution. Second, sinabi po dito at binanggit din po dito sa complaint, betrayal of public trust. At dito po defined under paragraph 94, the Supreme Court has defined betrayal of public trust as a catch-all ground encompassing acts that constitute gross faithlessness against public trust, tyrannical abuse of power, inexcusable negligence of duty, favoritism, and gross exercise of discretionary power to the prejudice of the public interest. Gross faithlessness, pagtataksil sa tiwala ng publiko. Definitely, yung pagbabanta po sa ating Papangulo, sa First Lady, at sa ating Speaker, ay maliwanag na pagtataksil. Dahil itong tao po, yung Pangulo po natin, ay pinagkatiwalaan at hinalal para mamuno po sa ating bansa. We have to look at the surface. Hindi ko po sinasabi na guilty na. Dahil yung guilty or not, yung trial po yan sa Senado. Ang nandito lamang po ay by mere narration of facts. Sa pagbabasa lamang po ba neto, meron po bang grounds na na-violate? I submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chua. Before we proceed, we acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Congressman Jose Manuel Tadeo Chel Jokno from Akbayan Party List. We acknowledge as well our Deputy Speaker, Honorable Raymond Democrito C. Mendoza. And finally, we welcome and acknowledge our Senior Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Ferdinand L. Hernandez, of course, from the 2nd District of South Cotabato. Thank you for coming to all the Kongs. Now we proceed. We acknowledge the Honorable Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Article 1 is based on three grounds for impeachment. First is the culpable violation of the Constitution. Second, betrayal of public trust. And third, other high crimes. To support these three grounds for impeachment, as found in our Constitution, it has three acts that are alleged to support these three, and which are assassination plot, sedition, and subversion. Let us go first to subversion, not as a crime itself, but as a support to the three, either of the three. And so, subversion, Madam Chair, was precisely made illegal in 1937 under Republic Act 1700. However, subversion, like in this case, they state subversion of constitutional order, subversion, Republic Act 1700, was repealed precisely in 1992 during democratic times. In 1992, Republic Act 7636 removes subversion. It cannot be a crime nor a support now to the three grounds that we have. Completely repealed in 1992. The subversion aspect of an act of a Filipino. Then we have sedition, Madam Chair. Sedition is an act of publicly uprising and tumultuously engaging in acts to really remove the established government and officials. So it cannot be because Sara Duterte did not publicly rise with arms to be able to remove the present government. Probably what they want to say is inciting to sedition. Because sedition itself is governed by our Article 139 of the Revised Penal Code, the rising publicly and tumultuously. If you go to Article 142, this will be inciting to sedition, but there is also no recital of facts that the Vice President made speeches or made publications to say, let us remove the present administration. Nothing. In fact, yesterday, if you see the video, she was just present. When her father spoke. Second, when Kibolo had a mass at a gathering, but she did not speak there. So therefore, against the present government. So these two are out, definitely out. Subversion of constitutional order is no basis to say there is violation of the Constitution, nor sedition or even inciting to sedition. So we now go to assassination plot. Here we go. This is what is cited in the first paragraph on factual allegations is under page 28, paragraph 85. Ito na. Already as a person to take revenge and that if I get killed, patayin mo si BBM, Lisa Araneta, at si Martin Romualdez. No joke. Now, we have to distinguish, Madam Chair, between conditional threat and threat with a condition. This is defined by the Supreme Court. What is a conditional threat and what is threat with a condition? Example of a second one. Threat with a condition. I will kill you if you give me 1 million pesos. That is a threat with a condition. There's still liability. However, conditional threat, like I'll kill you if I am killed, that is a threat from the grave, so-called. Even, Madam Chair, even the late presidential legal advisor, the late Juan Ponce Enrile, I saw him in an interview. He said there is no crime because it is conditional. The entire, statement about killing somebody only arises if you are dead, and both of them are very much alive. However, this is now the situation, Mr. Madam Chair. The one who said it is the Vice President. The persons where the conditional threat is being mentioned is the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker. And so this committee will have to therefore decide whether that reaches the sufficiency of form and substance. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Zamora.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make another manifestation regarding Article 1. Article 1 of the fourth impeachment complaint. I was part of the prosecution team in the last impeachment, and I handled this. And we saw the evidence of the NBI. In fact, for the information of everyone, this went to the NBI. The NBI filed a case, and they have the evidence. Now, that threats were conditional, is inconsequential. We heard what the Honorable Janice Degamo said yesterday, and I believe that, we were all touched and maybe disturbed by what she said yesterday. She said that their family received threats, conditional at the start, but in the end, the threats became real and her husband was murdered. The video that we are talking about was viewed by everyone, including international media, international persons. This happened on the 23rd of November, 2024, early morning. And we all saw how the Vice President hurled expletives and publicly admitted that she had set into motion a clear plot to assassinate the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House. These acts, Madam Chair, are stated, as I said earlier, in paragraphs 85 to 111 of the impeachment complaint. It is clear that the overt acts that we are looking for are in the impeachment complaint. The video that we are all talking about was mentioned in the annexes, or was it? Yes, it was mentioned in the annexes of the complaint. And for everyone's information, this is what we call res ipsa loquitur, or the thing speaks for itself. Everyone heard what the Vice President said, and again, these are mentioned in the impeachment complaint. So we do not go into the elements of the different crimes of the revised penal code, but the mere act, Madam Chair, that she said these words and that she contracted an assassin is impeachable in itself. That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other member who wishes to manifest?
Madam Chair, can I be allowed to speak?
This will be your winding up as well, the Honorable Abante.
Yes.
After this, we will be proceeding to the second ground. The
Upon
Honorable
he-
Abante is recognized.
Upon hearing the statement of Congressman Rufus, medyo umiikot po yung aking isipan tungkol dito sapagkat nakalagay naman sa impeachment complaint natin yung bang grossly inconsistent with the dignity of her office. Now, the question is, proper dignity ba yung statement ni Vice President Sara when it comes to assassination threat? Na hindi lamang assassination threat, Madam Chair, assassination plot, sapagkat meron na po siyang hinire na assassin. Sinabi niya sinabi niya, hindi joke yan. Pangalawa, yung po sinasabi nating gross exercise of discretionary powers. Yung pa'y kasama pa sa tinatawag na discretionary powers ng Vice President to threaten the President. Hindi na pinag-uusapan dito yung sedition. Saka yung subversion. Ang pinag-uusapan po dito, yung dignity ng office ng Vice President. Yung discretionary powers ng Vice President. Yung po ba ang tinatawag natin? Dapat ba na ito ay gawin nating baliwala, Madam Chair? So while the VP may claim her remarks were not serious, a high-ranking official threatening the life of the head of the state is a high crime and a threat to national stability. Yun po.
Thank you. Now we proceed to Article 2 of the Fourth Impeachment.